This is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Wednesday, May 13th. So let's start by re-rolling, as we do every stream. And I played a lot off screen, and more I'm having to get those 15 daily victories done off screen. And that gave us some mastery points. Let's see, how many do we have? 2? Okay. So that means we will be just one mastery orb short of being done with the first. Well, no, we're exactly one all the way around. So now we're 5 orbs short to get these. At which point then we need 5 more orbs to get these. At which point we need 5 more orbs to get these. And I don't think you get anything for getting them all, other than just more skins. Like, I think that's pretty much how that's gonna work. Let's see. We have another Ikra pack. We're kind of not in a great position. Now, the website DraftSim said they had a new overlay app that would be helpful. I installed it, then all of a sudden my computer was having trouble, so I uninstalled it. Turned out it probably had nothing to do with the DraftSim Arena Trainer, but also that app didn't seem like it was really doing anything amazing just yet, so I'll have to probably reinstall it later. Turns out my mouse just broke. Like, I knock it off the table enough on a daily basis that I just wore it out. This was on sale for 500 gold, so I bought this new skin avatar, which really does go to show that they'll be fairly done with all the avatars. We'll have them all fairly quickly. By the end of 12 months from now, almost certainly we would have all the avatars that are by default available. And I think we're probably only going to get one new avatar per expansion, so in 12 months that would be the equivalent of having just a small collection of new avatars. I think probably that they'll give up on this, and that's something that they probably should just say. Everybody gets all the avatars. There's no point in us trying to sell that. Nobody's flexing because of their avatar icon. But then Hearthstone also did have 2 or 3 pay only avatars, so they got away with it. I imagine the Wizards of the Coast want to get away with it too. We're gonna do a draft, so we need to come in here and let's see if we can just look at what we've not collected, have 1, 2, or 3 of, and see if we can kind of get an idea. We will have no clue what color to go for, but if I was to guess, blue looks like a good choice, black looks like a good choice, red looks like a good choice, green looks like a very good choice, and getting multicolored things looks like good choices in general. Multicolored or uncolored, colorless things are probably our best bet. Let's just evaluate here. 18 days. In 18 days, we'll probably then be 2 months away from the next expansion. So there's still probably a lot of time to try and get more gems. But I think we need to do this. And then it just is going to come down to, do we want to keep playing until you reach 3 losses, in which you would start getting gems at 0 wins, which is the quick draft. I think we probably want to do the quick draft. Or do we want to play this? This is 10,000 gold. And this is 5,000 gold. This would give you 950 gems and 2 packs. Seems like they're charging twice as much. Although this pays off more if you win, which I think is the same. And it says it's player draft, but I don't know if you're actually playing with other humans. Suppose we should come over here and let's see if we definitely don't want traditional draft, because that's the one that is the best of 3 and you have to get 2 wins before you get anything. That's 10,000 also. I think the money aspect here is going to be more than anything else. What I'd really like is not to have to do an Ikra draft, but I guess I don't have that choice. So quick draft it is. 5,000 gold. Probably going to get 2 or 3 wins to get 200 or 300 gems. We need 3,000 for the next expansion to get the mastery. If you even really need to get the mastery. It looks like my app is back working, so it seems to be working and working kind of nicely. So we should probably just kind of rare draft, which is to say take the first ones that until we start to think about what we don't want to take otherwise. We have 4 copies of this one, so our next step would be to take this. I don't know why the drafts all of a sudden stopped and started giving us like land cards and basic land cards. That's a major frustration point that I feel we're still running into, is that they feel like you're kind of getting screwed over by potentially ending up with a basic land card in a draft, when before this point it felt like you could get away with more things. Alright, well, do we want this or this? I'm gonna go ahead and take that because that's slightly better, and we'll take that because I only have 1 copy of that. And then we can either take this one or this one. The scores that these cards are getting, that's the only one I don't have anything for, are changing somewhat. That sucks. Alright, next. Here we only have 1 copy of this, but I guess it's a rare card, so I'm gonna take it even though it's rated really badly. Yeah, we've kind of hit that point where I'm taking rare but bad cards just to fill in a collection, more than even trying to get good cards that would help you in the draft. Because just straight up rare drafting, I don't know if I fully agree with it. Here, do I want to take this or do I want to take this? Or do I want to take this? This one's the best one, and I'm gonna hope that comes back to us. I already have 4 of those. I could take one of those, but it's not very well rated. Yeah, I am still not really capable of getting away from rare drafting. I feel like you'd have to draft 2 or 3 times a week to just stay up with this, or you would have to buy a lot more cards to start with, like when a new expansion comes out. Yeah, if I bought a lot more cards, then it would have been a smarter move, easier move to go in that specific direction and not care about the cards you're drafting, because you know that they're not going to be of any real value anyways. But then I don't know what you do with a draft if you're trying to be particularly frugal in that point. Do you play a draft and then take all the cards you have extra and actually try and convince people to buy them? Are you trying to sell back cards? I'm not sure how that works, or if that would work, or if there's just no market for those kinds of cards, or yeah, I really don't know what you do. Maybe you just tear them up, maybe you just throw them away, maybe you just leave them on the table because they just become instant draft trash. There is a just shocking amount of devaluation of Magic cards for something that pretends like it has any monetary value. I have to kind of applaud the vast majority of young kids that are playing Pokemon the card game, and as I imagine most of them think their cards have no value whatsoever, if they really thought about it, or they're just, maybe a lot of kids are actually childish, and just kids being childish wouldn't be surprising actually, and they just like think they're of value, but if they actually tried to sell them, they'd just be shocked how little value they really had. But I don't think, even though it's the Wizards of the Coast that are basically running the Pokemon card game also, I don't think they go in for trying to trick kids into playing for things. Seems like we can have a companion. Do we have anything that would work with that? And let's see what the breakdown here is. We have 11 green, so we pretty much have to play green. We should get rid of blue, and we should get rid of red. Start with red, red, red. We could play this with black, blue, and one more red card. Do we have anything that would act as a companion? Because there aren't too many companion cards, and almost would be certain that it would pop up something, or you would think at least it would pop up something if one of these could act as a companion. Well, companion, you're starting deck only with odd converted mana costs and land cards. Could we do that? See. Could we really do this? How many cards would we lose if we did this? Green, this, 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 this. We're now down below 30 cards. So now the companion's satisfied, but I don't think there's a way to play with 34 cards unless we just want to throw in more lands, which might not be a bad idea. Get rid of this blue. And then that just has a white or cycling. We have 4 swamps. Do we want to get rid of the blacks? How many would that be? Just, I think this and this. And that's just white and green. And then we'll go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Is this the right way to play this? Let's see. This has us with 11 creatures, 26 lands. Think you'd lose here. Do you really? At best case scenario, I think you'd want close to 50% lands in your deck. Best case scenario. Like, so, well, any of these. Is this a violation? No. So we could put that in there and probably not affect anything. Is this a violation with the companion? No. Is this a violation with the companion? No. So it's really only the reds that would be a problem. Then that would let me get rid of a couple of those cards. And that leaves you at 23, closer to, and 14 creatures, most of which are 3 mana cards for one reason or another. And we could throw in a cycling card. That still seems to match with the companion. And that would be fine. As long as his converted mana cost is even. Was the issue, right? So here. Here. And here. How come all of these suddenly fit? Ah. Because I filtered out all, it was automatically filtering out the companion cards. Alright. So, do I have anything that just absolutely can't be played with this? So that leaves us with 19 lands, 17 creatures, and a big hope that this works. which is probably a dumb hope to have. But I don't know how I want to fix that, per se. Well, I don't have any black mana, so I need to either bring in some black mana and balance it out some more, or I need to get rid of the black cards. Because once you take the cards out the first time, if you put them back in, it doesn't automatically adjust for that. Okay. I think that's about as good as we're going to get it. So let's play. We're looking for instant disconnects. For the accountability section, I've been mostly uploading. I did schedule one thing. It turns out that I probably have pre-recorded enough to go into October, so I've started to play the Halloween games. I played earlier this morning in the middle of the night, 11th Guest. Not a great game. Definitely not a great game. Yeah, I also had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get my mouse to work because drag and drop was not working, and it's just like I cannot live a life without being able to drag and drop files on Windows, and it turned out that the mouse was just broken, it seems. To my luck, I had already purchased a replacement mouse, so it was simply a matter of pulling out the backup mouse, but it does also go to prove that I need now a new backup mouse because, you know, my keyboard breaking wouldn't really be as much of an issue. But being incapable of playing with a mouse, yeah, that's not gonna work. Non-human target, okay. So I can put this on the field, and I can put a vigilance counter on him. Interesting. What does this guy do since we spent all that time? If a source you control with an odd converted mana cost would deal damage to a permanent player, deals damage to that permanent or player and double damage. Ooh, double the damage. Alright. Well, that sounds interesting. So now we've got a vigilance counter, which means he can attack if he wants to. And unless he's got a spell to make things different. See, I can mutate this guy on top of him now and have the vigilance on top of that guy. Wow. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. I wouldn't dare to claim I did, but it almost feels like I intentionally played this in such a way so that we could do something like that. Although now we've got a problem of a 4-4. 4-4 versus 4-4. And that's probably because of something else. So yeah, the 11th hour has better full motion video than the 7th Guest as its sequel, but it was like delayed 2 years, and it's got this kind of hidden object mentality to it that I don't feel like the first game had. And in a weird way, I completely forgot all of the events of the first game, and I really only played the 7th Guest, I think, maybe a year ago. But the hidden object elements now are you get a hint, and you definitely didn't get a hint before in 7th Guest. And then you have to go and click on the thing that the hint is referring to, and then you get a full motion video that's full screen this time, and it shows you a little clip telling you the story instead of the story being revealed and so I have enough here to put this on the field. Actually, I don't think I can play this. Because this is a red or black. I don't have an ability to play that. All that work, I need to make some major modifications so I have red cards and red mana. So the problem with it is you're wandering around the 7th guest house and you don't have really anywhere near the access you even had at the beginning of the 7th guest, because the house is all now decrepit and you just can't go through certain doors, and it seems like the game unlocks the ability to go through certain doors after you've clicked on the thing that the hint is leading to, so it's an extremely linear experience. And one of the puzzles is also rather bugged as far as I could figure, so I thought the whole game was bugged, and I had to there was a puzzle where you had to click the number 5, and there were several number 5s, so I had to click 1 5, see that one didn't work, unclick that one, click the next one, and I had to do that 3 or 4 times just to figure out what was the exact solution that the poorly programmed engine thought about, wanted, and was thinking about. Okay, well, let's see how this goes for him. I feel like he's gonna pull out something that buffs everything up. That, yeah, that's what I figured. And now I'm doomed. I mean, I could attack. Guess maybe I could have tapped this guy if he wasn't already tapped, and that I could have put a 1/1 on the creature with vigilance, but that wouldn't have helped, really. So yeah, it's just not a good experience so far, and I'm gonna just kind of power through it. And already I've had to resort to using a walkthrough because the puzzles are rough. It really tries to be like a Myst game without having any of the ideas of a Myst game. And oddly, the 11th hour starts off a little sexual when trying to make it feel a little bit more mature. You see some cleavage in the make-out session, implied sex scene type thing for a minute at most. So yeah, I'm just gonna power through it and then move on to the next Halloween game. I'm gonna probably play 3 Halloween games, depending on the length of the games that I cover. Well, let's see this. 2020. So that should be 21 plus 24. But then I'd need to untap a creature. Untap them. Right? Yeah. You would have to untap them at that point, and then that would buy you some time. This Colossification card is almost certainly going to get banned fairly quickly, because I can imagine that there's a real easy well, not easy, probably very complicated way to reduce its cost, but a way to reduce its cost significantly. So there's our first loss. Let's edit our deck now. Alright, so we need land. Let's come down to, probably would have done better just to click the red button. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 1, and 1. Okay. There we go. Let's see how that plays. I did think of something. The game Skyrim probably would have been an interesting attempt at a game like Uru, since I talked about Uru mostly on Monday. I talked way too much about it, but if the Skyrim engine, as buggy as that had more puzzles in it, and that was the focus instead of just running around killing dragons and many other creatures, yeah, then you very well could have potentially had a universe where Skyrim Uru succeeded, because there would have been just this large fan base and large amount of modding that happened. But I still think part of the reason why Skyrim succeeded so well isn't because their programming language was top notch and what everybody wanted and very easy to mod. I think part of the reason why Skyrim succeeded so well is because people liked the gameplay of Skyrim. I think it was a little bit improved over Oblivion, and I think Oblivion was actually rather highly improved over the previous versions of Skyrim, of Elder Scrolls games. So yeah, just the ability to be mindlessly attacking draugrs and skeletons the whole time, I think played a much larger role in the familiarization and getting that welcoming, familiar feeling with playing Skyrim. Because if you've committed 100 hours into Skyrim, yeah, you probably are going to have a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome and love it. So as long as you're not hating every second of that 100 hours. And maybe that was in some part the reason why that succeeded. You'd almost want a merger of Skyrim and Uru, with it mostly being Skyrim with just more puzzles, and I could definitely argue that Skyrim could do better with some puzzles in it. The world of Skyrim feels much more lived in. The architecture and design of Skyrim compared to Uru, maybe not quite as good, but much more realistic and large in scale. Had Uru been not on islands, but instead a giant land mass like Skyrim was, and you just had to walk through these large plains of areas, and in these large plains of areas you had some kind of enemy that you actually had to fight, and then there were like safe regions and enemy regions. That might work. Kind of interesting. well, we can put this on the field, and that might be our only option. Still don't have enough mana for that. But yeah. Yeah, it really is more of an argument the more I think about it, that Skyrim with more puzzles would be great, and magical linking mist books would be cool, although Skyrim already has portals if you want portals, so you could easily mod that in anyways. So yeah, I don't know how much of the Uru elements really would come into play. Yeah, I don't know if you really can save. Could have saved Uru. Cyan, the Creators of Mist, obviously couldn't save it, so why I think I might be able to stumble my way into a solution is beyond me. Let's see. Yeah. I'll need to be spending the rest of the week in uploading videos and scheduling videos, and there's a lot of scheduling I need to do. It's annoying. I think I've completely given up at this point. It seems like I have, as far as putting in screens on any of my videos, which is ridiculous because that's a feature that I, amongst probably many other people, suggested to YouTube, and I can't even use it because it's just not automated or easy enough to use. So it's just a waste of time. To that point, I'm even thinking about starting January 1st, 2021, if I make it that far. I'm thinking about just airing videos exactly at midnight my time, Central Time Zone, because then that's just one more scroll wheel that I don't have to pull down if I can just let it be at the default midnight spot. If it always is at the default midnight spot, I'm not sure it always is, so that's something I would need to check on, and certainly that's dumb. Well, I don't know what you call it otherwise. It's just a really, really silly thing to do, to be increasingly lazy as far as the, well, I guess I can attack and we can see what happens, or we can wait and block. I'll just do no attacks. But yeah, uploading and scheduling still a major issue. We probably will have a article about it, but it seems like a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game might be in the works. I'm not sure if that was actually announced, but I am fairly certain they did announce that a kind of remastered re-release of Pro Skater 1 and 2 is coming out, and they're saying with the original music, which I think was part of the tripping up factor of this game, of them trying to re-release it. Prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponent controls. Interesting. A vigilance token. So do we want a vigilance token on this guy or this guy? We can't activate this ability. So we can't do anything. I'm trying really hard not to lose here. We just barely have enough tabs that I don't see the Humble Bundle already. The beginning of the end, as I refer to it. But that doesn't really mean a lot in general. I think there also is a story saying that we'll probably talk about where Sony is not going to have a combined E3 like presentation for games coming out, and instead is just going to individually put out announcements about individual games, which, okay, makes sense, probably is more welcome. We have a game here on Steam called Fatix Out, which I don't know if this is making fun of a fat guy or if this is supposed to be Gabe Newell. Seems like it's just a guy with an axe running around. The graphics don't look particularly great, and I think it looks kind of generic and kind of trolly. $3.49 English and Portuguese Brazil. So yeah, seems like the Portuguese are back at it again, trying to sell some games. I also went through my Steam library and went through and looked at a lot of the games I have and took some time to reevaluate where I was going to go with all of this as far as the next games I play. This will give +2/+2. So we should attack with this one. This one has lifelink and first strike, but shouldn't really affect things, I'm hoping. I may have made a mistake there. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here for the PS4. The VVV Tunia opening movie is available. I think opening movies are probably reasonable levels of advertisements for games compared to just acknowledgements and showing off of the specific characters, because you can see, particularly in this Japanese game where it's Neptunia characters and virtual idols playing and fighting against each other. I think that's what VV Tunia is. I don't think it's a rhythm game. Yeah, it's tagged as an RPG. Like, particularly in this Japanese game case, it's all about the characters, so the opening movie is all about the characters here. Here's Neptunia. So, yeah. I can block this, and I can block this, and I've lost the game. So then it would be questionable what to do to improve this. Maybe get rid of some garbage cards, or get some more land cards in that deck. We only have one more chance, so probably get rid of that because that's never gonna work. can probably get rid of that because that's not going to work. Do we have anything here that's really useful? Okay, and then that's gonna just be one more land in each. Last chance to make anything more than 50 gems and feel like a rightful for spending 5,000 gold to get 50 gems in a pack of cards that I don't even need. Alright. That did definitely start me off with enough cards. At least it feels like it. Gamatsu has an article here. The PS5 is still on track for a holiday launch. No major issues in game development. Sony says at their quarterly meeting. I think they'll probably lying through their teeth and will revise things. Also, it's, I think, fair to say that the Japanese in general are not at a point where they're willing to admit how bad it could be for them as COVID is starting to ramp up in their country. I think it's fairly ridiculous if anybody would really for a second believe them that to think that the PlayStation 5 would bother to even come out. Even if it could come out, I don't think it would bother with the level of lack of interest in spending money that will almost certainly exist around the world. Is nobody's gonna want to buy a new console or anything this Christmas season. Okay. We're just, I guess, waiting. It always feels like Magic just gets into this waiting game. It's really annoying. Hearthstone did it better. Frankly, they really did. They have a nice little system where they can simply, you can just always attack and it won't be a big deal. Let's see, put this here. Probably the right move instead of cycling. I'll pass. Next, we have an article from Gamatsu, and again, a lot of these articles seem like they will just be Gamatsu articles. PlayStation 4 worldwide shipments have topped 110.4 million. One thing I'm thinking of is I probably need to spend some extra time, and when would I ever have extra time? I don't know, but I probably need to think of some final solution for my 2 Xbox 360s. I had 2 or 3 of them over the lifespan of those. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna ever probably go back and play them, and I'm not sure that they'd even would be playable, so it probably would be a wise move to start thinking about giving up the Ghost. Alright, so this, if I can get even 1 damage and then play this to double all of these guys' damage, then I'd do 20 damage alone. So don't think that helps him in any means, anyway. Okay, what does this do? 1 damage to each opponent whenever you cast a non-creature spell, untap it. Alright, well, let's see how this works. Not sure I can ever play this card. I don't think I have any blues. I should get rid of this card. This is dumb. That still killed. It should have killed it. Hey, we won. So at least we'll get 100. And we got victory even. So we'll at least get 100 gems in one pack. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And see if we've got any blues to think about. I'm gonna bring this one back. And I'm thinking this is probably too much in that direction. Let's try that. Yeah, it really feels like I'd enjoy draft a lot more if I could just keep on trying the same cards and really try to build something constructed from a draft collection of cards. If I could do like bot games with that, that would be great. Or if there was just a helper that was a little bit more helpful than what the untap.gg app does. Maybe we'll get a quick disconnect here. Next we have a game on Steam called Island Saver. It looks like it's a first-person shooter shooting dinosaurs. Looks like it's trying to be kid-friendly while still being a first-person shooter. And it doesn't look terribly animated. It just doesn't look like it's that interesting of a game. It's tagged as educational. It's free with a $4.99 Dinosaur Island DLC, single player, bunch of languages. Yeah. This looks like edutainment. I don't see any reason why that should be on the fall list. Even now my new mouse feels a little awkward. It's not having the drag and drop issue, it's kind of having a sliding issue, and I think that's probably because I've failed to properly grease up the bottoms of it or remove, or maybe my speed board is too greasy. It's probably too much grease and oil, not enough. Famitsu Issues 1639 has its review scores. Be interesting to see how many games they review, considering how few games there are. Seems also like they may have taken a week off. We have a game called ITTA for the Switch that got 29 out of 40. Ministry of Broadcast for the Switch was 28 out of 40. Predator Hunting Grounds is 30 out of 40. And Zombie Army 4 Dead War is 31 out of 40. All of those markedly poor quality. Okay. This would bring back anything with cycling. Interesting idea. Let's go ahead and put that on the field. Take a health. Then just no attacks. Look at the 5 cards in your library. You may reveal any number of these creatures from them and put them in your hand. The rest at the bottom of your library. So apparently I can get some strong cards, but it's gonna be a while. So yeah, games are just not coming out. Let's see, Remedy Entertainment, now mostly known for making Control and kind of forgotten, in my opinion, even for making that. There was supposed to be another bit of DLC for Control, and I haven't heard anything about it. The Foundation expansion was a while ago, but Alan Wake is at its 10th anniversary, therefore it's 90% off, which is much better than saying it's its 10th anniversary, therefore it's 10% off. I haven't played Alan Wake's American Nightmare, nor did I play the DLC of Alan Wake, even though I owned it. So I don't think anything nice I can say about any of the Alan Wake games, even though I've heard a lot of people have major praise on them. Heave massive amounts of praise on the Alan Wake games. Whenever you cycle another card. Okay. Cycle. Is this a creature? It's a non-human creature, so it could get a vigilance on it, but I don't need a vigilance on it. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. Nexomon Extinction is coming to the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC this summer. A return to classic monster catching games, which a return to classic monster catching games is questionable. What that really means, is this a Pokemon clone or is it not? It looks like yet another Pokemon clone. It's kind of questionable as to why so many developers decided now was the time to start copying Pokemon. Seems kind of like that the time would have been in many of the previous generations. Perhaps there was some insider revelation that the Game Freak was running out of steam as far as adding content to Pokemon, and I guess maybe because this Pokemon game did go into more of a 3D world, more a la something like Pokemon Stadium, then this might have been a good opportunity. And I guess Pokemon Go, the walking game, may have been a motivator for people to to make Pokemon clones. Of course, it will now just all boil down to which Pokemon game is the good one. So that's exiled until the end of my next turn. I can play that. So we can put that back on the field. Not that I think this is going to save me, because I would have to have a lot of things on the field, and I don't think I'm going to have a lot of things on the field. Can this block that? No. So we can block that, and we can block that. And this, it requires 7 cards. Vigilance on that one. Oh. And I'm still missing a green. I need another green to play this. So do I want to cycle this and try and win, or do I want to be ridiculous? Trample counter. Gamatsu has an article here. Panzer Dragoon Remake version 1.3 update is now available. It adds an episode 0, 60 frames per second, support, and more. This is for the Switch, apparently. Yeah, it's coming to PC and Stadia. So, I would like to play Panzer Dragoon and see if I could actually like it. It might work for me. It kind of does feel like it is a Star Fox type game. And if anything, maybe Star Fox is a Panzer Dragoon type game. Let's see. Block that. Block that. And block that. And play this. Put that on the field. And attack with this one. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. An Indie Live Expo 2020 is set for June 6th. Apparently it's featuring several companies I have never heard of. They seem like they're probably indie Japanese companies if I was to guess anything. Either that or they are just so indie I've never heard of them. Yeah, Zune has made Toho Project games. Toby Fox made Undertale and Deltarune. Oh, I don't recognize the name, but I should probably. Swery, the CEO for White Owls Incorporated, and Kazuya Nino from Type Moon Studio and BB. There's no list of actual games here. So, This probably won't be too much, but something. Well, I'm doomed, so let's just no block and be done with it. We don't lose a pip, but we did lose 5,000 gold. Well, we got 100 gems for that. And a pack. Don't forget the pack, I guess. And I think that's pretty much all we can expect, and that's pretty much all we need to do. We're probably done with drafts for this expansion, or at least this month. I need more gold, clearly. I would like to have at least 40, maybe 50,000 by the time the next expansion happens, and 3,000 gems at least, if not more. As for rare drafting, it seems like that worked somewhat well to fill in some ranks. So it probably wouldn't be impossible if we absolutely need to draft next month just to get a ranking. Like it would still be fairly easy to do some rare drafting and fill in gaps of cards that we don't have complete collections of. Let's see. Try and take this off. Go Ikura 1, 2, 3, and not collected. And by that filter, yeah, there's not a lot, but enough that you could easily fill it in. And we filter down to the ones that are just not collected at all. Not sure how many of those are even left at all. Okay, so what does that leave us with now? Black or red, that just means play ranked. Wait a minute, where's ranked? There it is. Let's just play ranked. And that'll be all we do for the rest of the stream, is we'll play ranked, try to get victories in, and then we'll be done with the stream. I've been up for a while, so I would like to kind of wrap up and fall asleep. There's an article here from a hexus.net that SteamDB linked to. There's apparently some evidence emerging that a Steam loyalty discount scheme might be appearing. There's these code tags or SQL tags. I don't even know what they really would be. I'd imagine they'd be like SQL tags that you would use to mark things. So loyalty reward definition, community item data, loyalty reward definition, badge data, and loyalty reward purchase bonus, and more. So that's an interesting idea, certainly. It would appeal to somebody like me who has over 1,000 and probably closer to 2, maybe even 3,000 games on Steam. As somebody who just kind of constantly buys more games on Steam and likes to have the options. I'm not sure if I'm really in the mood or interested in having Steam push me to buy specific things at specific times, but I like the idea of them trying to win my favor, certainly, and offer sales. Sales specifically to me. And I don't really care if they give me a badge one way or another, but that's fine. Speaking of ridiculous things on Steam, I reinstalled time clickers. I have not been letting that run, and I uninstalled it at some point just to have some free room on my hard drive. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I can't give up on letting that run in the background when nothing's happening, because then I won't be able to have ridiculous amounts of hours played in that game and continue my running gag. Moving on, Platinum Games president put out a blog and talking about what they're doing and like how they're going to work remotely and things like that. If you want to read it, I don't think it particularly is going to be of any real news value as a for video game journalists or just video game fans. It might be the case that Bayonetta 3 gets delayed a little bit, in the same way that it might be the case that any other game might get delayed, but I don't see any reason why Platinum would be any harder hit than anybody else. And if any games company is going to be hard hit, it is going to almost be random chance or harder hit than the average person. Next, we have a game on Steam called Street Sniper, which I almost didn't bother to play because clearly this is just a like psychopath simulator type game. Same, I guess you could say the same thing for GTA, but yeah, there's something, it feels a little weird. I liked the Hitman sniper game because it was done well and because you were playing as a well-known established assassin. I don't like the idea of somebody, I guess I don't like the name in particular, because it really does invoke in my mind somebody just being on top of a building and shooting a bunch of random civilians for no reason. And the game, again, is garbage. It's $1.19 discounted, English only. I suppose it's as worthy of talking about as any other of the terrible games that we talk about that come out on Steam, but it does also kind of feel like Steam and Valve have fallen quite a distance. Some would say in the right direction. I would probably argue in the right direction as far as not being pro-censorship. Remember, they at one point weren't going to let that game Hatred on their storefront, and the developer of Hatred had to pull some strings and negotiate to get listed. Seems like now any low effort asset flipper could make a game like Hatred, and in all fairness, I think Hatred probably was a low effort asset flip type game anyways. So yeah, times I guess have changed. And yeah, my chair is just getting ever increasingly more comfortable. Like, I was sitting in it earlier this morning when I was recording, and I literally was getting a hot spot. My behind was getting literally hot. It was just getting so much pressure and pain. It's ridiculous. Also, my chair feels like it's gonna break every time I adjust myself in it. So I think the whole thing is in bad shape, and it's not like it's a particularly recent it's not an old chair really either, so that kind of sucks. Is it should have lasted a lot longer. And furniture, chairs should potentially last you a lifetime. And I'm approaching the point where I'd like to just throw this in the trash and buy something new. Next, we have a game on Steam that's just a bunch of Asian characters. This looks like a Chinese, like, tabletop game of some sort. Seems to be some kind of detective theme of something. English is not supported. It's 99 cents. It's Chinese only. Doesn't look like it's a particularly fun game, if I was to guess. Well, we're on the path to potentially having an easy journey with victories. So, LibRetro tweeted out this 8 hours ago. The next generation of Nintendo 64 emulation begins today. This will be one of the biggest game changers in Nintendo 64 emulation to date, and you'll be able to run it later today on RetroArch. Hashtag N64. Hashtag RetroArch. So, there's a question, I suppose, as to whether they are talking about RetroArch on PC versus a RetroArch on a Raspberry Pi. I imagine they're more talking about RetroArch on a PC. And, yeah. I kind of assumed that if you had a decent PC, you could run Nintendo 64 games perfectly anyways. So, unless it is a huge improvement and the Raspberry Pi 4 suddenly can support most, if not all, of the lineup perfectly of the Nintendo 64, I don't think that's going to be as big as I'd like it to be as far as of a change. Right now, last time I tried or looked at it, the Raspberry Pis were really only powerful enough in their custom code with their custom CPU to play maybe a dozen of the most popular games, like Mario 64 and Mario Kart, and that's about it. So a major improvement there would be great. I also saw a video talking about a game that was inspired by The Legend of Zelda that Sega came out with, or Sega had a company come out with a game like that, and it looked actually rather fun. And that's an interesting idea. That certainly, if you've played all the Legend of Zelda type games, and you don't want to play a modded randomized version of Legend of Zelda, then the Sega competitor might be an interesting idea. So here's Tony Hawk tweeting out, "Happy birthday to me, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 coming out September 4th, 2020. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what consoles Pro Skater 1 and 2 come out on. And it'll be interesting to see if the fandom is still around to be interested in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Because there's definitely some options there for ifs. This can't be blocked, so I'm just going to go ahead and attack. Get my health back up. Next we have a game on Steam called Mysterious World, which looks like a student project or an MS Paint game of platforming. Yep, looks pretty awful. $3.99 discounted. English, Japanese, and Chinese. I would guess it's a cheap Chinese game. Let's see. This guy is wrecking me. TechRaptor has an article here. The Culling Origins is returning to Xbox One with a new business model, which apparently this is like the third time the Culling has come back, and it's now a pay-to-play model. So by winning a match, you get an online match token, or you have to buy a pack of 3 match tokens for 99 cents or more, or you have to buy an online pass where players can play forever, with a 7-day pass being $1.99 or a 30-day pass being $5.99. So they're all over the board with this, and as far as what I hear, the Culling wasn't great, and I can probably fairly guess that nobody ever played it and nobody really wants to play it, because had people wanted to play it, then it wouldn't be on its 3rd attempt now to make some money. TechRaptor has an article. Billy Mitchell sues a YouTuber over his cheating expose. The YouTuber is countersuing, or claims he's going to countersue. I think, as I understand it, Billy Mitchell may have waited till the very last second to file his paperwork, and the YouTuber has not filed any paperwork at all, and will just be at the beginning of a long, complicated defamation suit / countersuit, I'm sure, over all of this, and it will probably just settle, and it'll probably not be a satisfactory ending. I followed while there was new things happening in the Vic Mignogna case, where that's a anime voice actor who is suing for defamation in Texas, and it didn't seem, and Vic Mignogna didn't get past the anti-slap protections part, and so now he's attempting to appeal to the Texas Court of Appeals, and that's the next element of that, is to see if the appeals court hears his case and sides with Vic Mignogna. Otherwise, he's gonna lose his case completely. He's kind of already lost it, but he's appealing it, and so I feel like if you use that as an example and take 2 very different stories and apply it with the same mentality, I would imagine that Billy Mitchell's case might get tossed out of court too, and Billy Mitchell would have to appeal and try to bring it back in the court. Particularly since Billy Mitchell's case is being filed in California, which seems to not particularly want to work for defamation people who are claiming to be defamed. So yeah, we're at the beginning of more mess on a story that's already a mess. On one hand, without knowing any facts, if at all, or knowing if any of the facts that are alleged are true, on one hand, I can certainly understand Billy Mitchell's frustration in being labeled as a cheater and as a bad guy, and having really no recourse to to gain a good name or regain a good name if you ever had one. On the other hand, if Billy Mitchell really did cheat, people have a small reasonable right to be upset that people were potentially cheated out of high scores, potentially prize money, fame, of whatever little fame you'd get from high scores of old arcade games. So, yeah. These cheating scandals in any sport, or if you want to call it a sport, really hurt the credibility of those kinds of competitions, and hurt everybody who competes in those kind of competitions, because for everybody that plays fair, if there's even one cheater, that cheater is disenfranchising every fair player out there, to the point where it becomes something like the cycling situation, where tons of people are blood doping, and like the top 25 people in some races are all blood doping. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. Sony Interactive Entertainment establishes a PlayStation Studios umbrella brand for its first-party titles. So they've got a new logo. This is on top of the ugly PlayStation 5 logo. It's somewhat interesting, I guess, to figure out whether this was a decision by the Japanese Sony or the Sony Interactive Entertainment group. Even though Sony Interactive Entertainment is the ones doing it, I wouldn't be surprised if this is not so much a badge of honor, but a subtle badge of, oh, this is not being done by Sony of Japan, so Japanese people don't need to care about it or bother with it. In the end, it really isn't anything. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Tap a Zombie, which looks like obviously a low effort game, but the graphics are nice, probably because it's an asset flip. So you see these zombies and then you tap the one that's out of order. Yeah, $1.69 discounted, whole bunch of languages. Other achievements? No, I don't think this is a game worth playing or having. Like, it seems just kind of like a silly idea or pointless idea. Next we have a game on Steam called Murders in Space, which looks like a very old game from the 1990s is what it says. But it's not a game I recognize either. So then that puts you in a weird position, because it looks like a point and click game. I'm a sucker for point and click adventure games. It's $4.68 discounted. It's English with a whole bunch of other languages subtitled. I guess I have to put this on the follow list and see if people review it and say that whether it's a good game or not. It's unlikely that it will actually make it to the wish list, but I can't just immediately dismiss it either. Come on, game. Next, we have a game on Steam called World Championship Boxing Manager. Apparently, this is a 1990s game also. And it's from the same publisher, so this publisher is putting a bunch of old things for sale. The graphics look kind of terrible, and it looks like it's very possibly a point-and-click adventure-like game, although it's being tacked on as a simulation management game. So I'm going to put it on the following list again. Same response, like probably not making it to the fall list, probably not going to get any reviews. This has a bunch of languages, but this time with the interface supporting the languages. These graphics look fairly bad, but I assume that's because it's a 1990s game. Yeah. If we look here specifically at Ziggurat, they also have a game called Purple Saturn Day, and The Dame Was Loaded, and Mission Critical, and Eric. So some of these definitely have been on the wish list, but a lot of these also don't recognize. I don't recognize any of these. Blood Rain Betrayal. Blood Rain 2, Blood Rain 1. So maybe they needed some extra money and they ported out and patched their old games because of that, or maybe it wouldn't be a terrible time if they did announce a new Blood Rain game, honestly, because, well, a full-on remake, reboot of that series with all the vampire games that are coming out wouldn't be a bad idea. Pass. And then block this. And then I guess I'm taking 8 damage. Next we have a game on Steam called Buck Bradley Comic Adventure, which looks like a comic book education game. I kind of like this animation for, I don't know what kind of game it is, though. It's free, and it's English and Italian. So then it becomes kind of a question of, is there anything else this developer's making? No. And this came out in 2017. They're selling nothing. So I guess I have to just leave it at, like, I mean, I can put it on the fall list if I want to, but I guess I really should just leave it at, this game is free. If you want to play it, play it. They don't seem to be selling you anything. Yeah. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, a PlayStation 5 release window on Japanese job site was an error, Sony Interactive Entertainment says. That's believable. Could be that that release window was the original release window too, and not anywhere close to the release window now. Even though Sony did say they weren't moving their release window.
I'd like you to meet my friend, Stompy.
Let's see. See if he wants to block one of these. Gamatsu has an article, Gunman Clive HD Collection is coming to the PS4 May 22. This would be Gunman Clive 1 and 2 in one package. I am not sure what Gunman Clive is though. I like that thumbnail, but if the game actually looked like that, I'd be disappointed, and it does look like that, so that looks pretty disappointing. Yeah. The pencil sketch art style I don't think works with a gunman, and magnetic crazy weirdness I don't think really works with a gunman, and flying and doesn't look like it would work. Yeah. Seems a little too crazy. Unless this game is just really, really popular. And then I'd have to eat my own words, but it doesn't look interesting. It looks too crazy, too all over the place. Gematsu has an article for the PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. Immortal Realms Vampire World Wars launches August 28th. A vampire-themed strategy game, which, okay, that might work, but I don't know if it really would. Like, vampires sometimes are portrayed as having strategies, but a real-time strategy game like this doesn't feel right for a vampire theme. Unless you're just going to try and establish a whole world full of vampires that act very differently from what you've seen in most other vampire stories. It feels like vampires would be more impulsive and not strategic. If I was to attribute a generalization on them, that they don't fit like in a strategy game as much as they fit in an action game. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Close Encounter VR. I feel like anybody that believes in Greys probably shouldn't play this game because it would lead them to flights of fantasies and delusions. And anybody that doesn't believe in this would probably look at this game and see that there's nothing here. It's just an asset flip. This requires VR, and I don't know if you really want to be in VR in something that could actually scare you. It's $4.99, which is too cheap for VR. And it's English only. Yep, I'm still losing a decent amount. And it's still taking a decent amount of time to lose when playing a game. Yeah, I may not even have this daily quest done, let alone have 15 victories. TechRaptor has an article here. .emu apologized for Streets of Rage Physical Edition confusion with an equally confusing apology. So I don't even know what the confusion was because I wasn't paying that much attention. It doesn't seem like the confusion or the complaints are really coming around the game itself. So just don't buy the physical edition, or do more research before you buy the physical edition, and you should be fine. TechRaptor has an article here. Mafia 2 PS4 and Xbox One appears in Brazil, but is it remastered? I don't know if I want to play a Mafia game. Like, I feel like Mafia 3 also went kind of way off the rails and did something very different. So it would be weird to go back and play Mafia 1 and 2 after they kind of abandoned the Mafia feel and idea for Mafia 3. Because if I recall correctly, Mafia 3 is where you're playing as the African American guy in New Orleans, and you're you've got almost realistic voodoo magic out of nowhere, and it gets explained away sort of in a weird way. And I don't think Mafia 3 was hugely hailed, but it did, I think, get better reviews than Mafia 2 in a retrospective comparisons. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Starbreeze cuts loose losses by $7.2 million and calls Payback 3 publishing talks positive. So, if Starbreeze Studios is saying that they are cutting their losses, that means they still have losses. I think that's what that means. That's not as bad as what they had previously announced it would be. I don't think Starbreeze Studios is still in a good position because they kind of went, if I recall correctly, they went from putting a lot of money in trying to make support Payday 2 and it not really paying off, and then kind of abandoning making games to be a publisher and that not really taking off. And I think now they're back to trying to make Payday 3. And I don't think the Payday series is anywhere as popular as it would need to be to save Starbreeze amongst its too many mistakes, too fast situation that it's in now. Next we have a game on Steam here called Handy Dandy, which is 2 characters in different dimensions, which we've seen things similar to this. This doesn't look too bad. Looks like it's a puzzle game where you are not really fighting any enemies. So okay, put that on the follow list. It's free to play. I don't know how that really works though. It has a third-party EULA and it's split screen co-op and it's English only. Okay, so now I know how it works, so we can take it off the polling list. Unfortunately, this is a game I wouldn't be able to play, and that's, I suspect, why it's free, is because a significant number of people would not be able to play it. I don't know why anybody tries to make a co-op game. Co-op games have never really succeeded, except for maybe in the arcades, and even in the arcades they always had like a one-player mode. I can't think of a single game that requires co-op that actually succeeded and worked. Keep on playing here. Next we have a game on Steam called El Cabo Selena's Dark Spirit. This looks like an RPG Maker game. We haven't been seeing a lot of RPG Maker games, but this definitely looks like one. It's early access, $1.19 English only. Just do no attacks and end the turn. Gamatsu has the same article. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, due out September 4th. They have a little bit more details there than the tweet did. So yeah, coming out to PC. I guess that's probably a great thing. Because it's not like there's been a lot of good skater games on PC, so going back and playing some that I didn't play when I was in younger, and ones that certainly have relevancy, makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know how, as a YouTube video game critic, I can criticize too much of Tony Hawk. It really feels like something that I'd probably just spotlight more than anything else, because after an hour of playing, what am I doing? What am I saying that's different? What am I saying that's new? It feels very much like a game that I would more want to play just for fun off screen, particularly if I'm just gonna fail at a bunch of challenges, which is, I imagine, what my experience would be. It's just a lot of falling on my butt and failing. Next we have a game on Steam called Jet Lancer, which looks like it's a fly around jet shoot 'em up game with some badly animated cutscenes that look like visual novels. $14.99 is way too expensive for this game, and a whole bunch of languages. So yeah, another game that's easily dismissible. Yeah, I'm still desperate. I need to. Interesting. My mouse keyboard mat as it has a control side and a speed side. I think the speed side might be used up, so I just flipped it over to the control side, and maybe that'll work a little bit better. No, I could probably just play on the control side and then speed up the mouse cursor acceleration. That would probably work fine, because it is a little slow on the control side. Go ahead and play that. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Virtua Verse, which is tagged as a point-and-click cyberpunk game. Which it does look cyberpunk, and it does look like it's a point-and-click game. I'm a sucker for point-and-click games. It's $14.99, which seems like it's probably a little too expensive. But I'll put it on the follow list, and we'll see what people have to say there. It's positive so far. Next we have a game on Steam called The Hand of Glory, which is tagged as a point-and-click game too. We're getting more point-and-click games than normal. Looks like Sherlock Holmes-like character. The animation doesn't look amazing, but it might be good enough if the story's good. And let's see, it's not even out yet. It's coming out June 9th apparently, and it's English and Italian. So I think in this case we probably just leave it alone and wait till it comes out. I wish there was a way to automate this. I don't know exactly how you'd do that though. I don't know if it would be worth spending the 8 to 12 hours of trying to get it to work to automate doing this mechanic. Anyways, because the problem here on why you'd have trouble automating this without it just being integrated into the logic of Magic Arena is that the witches' ovens could be any number of them in any location, any position. The cauldron familiar can kind of be any number and any position. So it would be very hard to try and get that to work. Next we have a game on Steam called Tube Live, which seems to be like a YouTube streamer simulator troll game. Looks pretty terrible. It's $6.39 discounted, English full audio allegedly. We only have about 10 more tabs and then we're done for today, so this will probably be our last game. Next we have a game on Steam called Starstruck Prologue, which looks like a rhythm game, and it doesn't look terrible, but it also kind of looks weird and asset flippy, and it's a demo because it has Prologue in the name. And it's free, so yeah. English only also. Yep. Let's see. Gematsu has an article for PC and Xbox One. Waking, the game called Waking, launches June 18th. It's an emotional action adventure. And here we can see two people hugging, which you don't see a lot of in video games or movies or TV. Although I did happen to watch a Price is Right episode where a lot of people were hugging. This seems kind of blurry in the animation. I don't know if there's really a game here or if this is just some surreal imagery, really, more than anything else. So I'd have to get some more reviews. I'd definitely have to get some reviews before I would put a game like Waking on the wish list. I don't like also that you can't double click a lot of these cards. It feels like I should be able to double click this, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. I may still lose here. TechRaptor has an article here. All the confirmed PlayStation 5 games. This was from May 12th. So, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Battlefield 6, Bright Memory Infinite, Chorus, Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, Dirt 5, Godfall, Gods and Monsters, Home Gang, Memories of the Forgotten, never heard of that one. Lord of the Rings, Golem, Microman, Monstrum 2, Moonray, Observer, System Redux, Outriders, Quantum Error, Rainbow Six Quarantine, Rainbow Six Siege, Roots of Pasha, Scarlet Nexus, haven't heard of either one of those games, Soulborn, Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, Watchdog Legions, and WRC 9. That's not a huge lineup, because I don't feel like there's a lot of system sellers there. Of course, if you were to do the same for Xbox games, I imagine you'd maybe get 2 or 3 times the number of games with probably the same number of system sellers. Maybe 1 or 2 more. TechRaptor has an article. Valorant bans nearly 9,000 cheaters, unintentionally removes blood. So So Valiant is still trying to get itself up to version 1.0, and we'll see if they've just irritated too many or too few people in the process to get to version 1.0. Keep on playing. I'm going silent here as I'm actually trying to win the game. Let's see. If I attack now, they could block with one of those and then they could attack with a bunch of other ones. So I don't see a reason to do that. So I think you just end your turn still. Monday we talked about two people forming Gravity Well Games. Now Gamasutra has an article that says David Brevik and Bill Wang team up to launch Skystone Games. Let's see if they mention where they are from, because the others were from Remedy. They're making a game. Skystone has already signed 2 games, one called Undying and one called Spaceline Crew. Yeah. No talk about where those industry veterans are from previously, which could have been helpful to establish some like provenance as far as the games that they might create, or give a bit of information there about the games they might create. So block that, block that, block that, and go ahead and block one of those too. If I had played this right, I probably could have won, because 4 dying here and then 2 would have given 6, which could have won, but we'll probably just win slower now. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Capcom to release multiple major new titles by March 31st, 2021. Also, apparently Resident Evil 5 is going to be the darkest and bloodiest, is the rumor. Which, okay, yeah. I don't think anybody's really calling for the Resident Evil series to be campy and action-based. Well, they want it to be action-based, but nobody wants it to be campy or silly. Like, the dark, more realistic story, I think, plays a role as realistic as the Resident Evil series can possibly try to accomplish. I think Resident Evil 3 probably is a great example of the attempts to be realistic and dark and broody. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here called Waka Marine Valley, New Zealand, which looks like it is a walking simulator slash nature hike simulator. It looks pretty. I don't know how much of it isn't just an asset flip though from speed trees. Looks like it's a VR experience for $3.99. Probably not really a game. Seems like there's several other exploration games that they're trying to show off. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about nature hikes in general. Yeah, I watched a video of somebody trying to do nature hikes and put it on YouTube, and then they fast forwarded through all the boring parts where then they didn't have anything to say. So, and they literally just fast forwarded through it in as they're presenting the imagery. So yeah, I was watching that footage and thinking, yeah, I have no clue how you would present that or make that work on YouTube. I could see some moderate success as a YouTuber going on hikes, walks, nature trails, things like that on the weekend and just live streaming it. Kind of like live streamers that just play games and don't talk. And that's about all you could get from it. And then maybe you can edit it down to clips of anything interesting that happens, if anything interesting happens. But I would definitely feel temptation to script some things and make things happen in the same way that like reality TV scripts things and makes things happen, because you just run a high risk of spending hours and hours and hours on a nature hike and absolutely nothing of worth recording or broadcasting happens at all. I've won, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. He's gonna take his time, apparently. He thinks he can survive this way. If this guy can survive, I'll be amazed. Meanwhile, we have a game on Steam called Wanan Dobutsu Beyond Pet O Tasukuru Daiji na Oshigato trailer commercial, which, if I was guessing, this is something like a pet carrying simulator game. It's like a pet spa. Yeah, or your pet salon. Or a veterinary thing. Interesting. See a lot of kids like this. Kids games like this, but they never really seem like they're good. This might be a decent attempt at something like that. I doubt it will come to the West though. Veterinary hospital adventure simulation game. I did win, by the way, in case someone doubted it. I have like 2 more tabs. So, yeah. I need to kill 24. No, I need to kill 4 more opponents for 750 gold. And get a bunch, at least 7 more victories to get more experience so that we can go down this path. I think we've got plenty of time to make it all the way to 80. I don't think there's any rush at all there. I guess the bigger question would be how much more gold and how much more gems are we gonna get? It seems like 200 gems, 400 gems. Yeah, seems like 400 gems is all we're gonna get, so that'll put us at 2110. So I still need to collect somehow through drafts almost 900 more gems, and that might be a little difficult to do. Moving on, we have a game called G's Just Shizu Mori no Chisona Nakama Tachi, announced for the Switch, which seems like animal kids game, if I was to guess. Probably from the same publisher and developer as the other game. And again, yeah, it's like a animal care for game. Actually looks fine. Looks actually really nice. Again, I doubt it will get translated to the West though. And then lastly, we have a game on Steam that's a bunch of Asian characters called The Mist City, which is tagged as a RPG strategy game. It looks to me like it's a Chinese visual novel. I would guess Chinese because they're showing just a background here instead of characters. English is not supported, $2.99. Chinese only. Okay. So that is that. We are at the Humble Bundle. I doubt there's another Humble Bundle. Well, yes, there is a Humble Indie Bundle. 21, I think, is new. So let's look at that. If you pay $1, you get Hotline Miami, Beat Cop, Dust Force DX, and some wallpapers and coloring pages. If you pay over the average of $6.90 right now, you get Moonlighter and 25% off Moonlighter Between Dimensions, which isn't that great, and Gato Robo, which is a kind of short game, so take that. And then more in 6 days and 4 hours. I don't know if you get those if you buy that right now or if you have to wait. And then if you pay the full $15, you get Hyperspace Outlaw and Starbound. So far, not a huge lineup for the Humble Indie Bundle 10th anniversary. You'd think there'd be more, but you know, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel as it is, just trying to figure out what to sell. And then that brings me back to my Twitter feed. Apparently there's a Last of Us Inside the Story presentation. Also there's rumors that Last of Us 2 has a bunch of shill accounts reviewing their game before it's even out. The Mafia trilogy has been announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, which is interesting because we had just seen listings for Mafia 1 and 2. Yeah, Sony's been DMCAing a lot of people. Naughty Dog has been DMCAing, but a lot of people, not Sony. And that's been irritating people, certainly. So, feels like Last of Us is not going to have a lot of goodwill by the time it comes out. And it feels like the people that have seen the stories and had it spoiled for them weren't happy with the directions that the story went in either way. Seems like both the SJWs out there didn't like the way the story went and the way the characters were shown and depicted, and the anti-SJWs weren't happy with the way the story went and the way characters were depicted. So they managed to not please either one of the audiences. Although I would say it's fairly common for SJWs to not like being pandered to when they are pandered to, because the pandering is so obvious and it's just bad, and what they were asking for often was bad anyways. So it's not really surprising there that they wouldn't be happy with it. And yeah, not a lot happened. So not a lot of new news happened between the time we started streaming and now. So that's going to be it for the stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.